What's up, you guys? Matt Jablonski here with The Point of Change. Tonight is The Point of Change meets SoberDad. Adam Foster is here to hang out with us. Thank you guys for being here. Give me some likes, give me some loves, give me some shares out in any addiction groups you may be a part of or onto your own page if you wish. That would be even better. Tonight we have an awesome story of addiction and recovery and advocacy for you. I'm excited to have this guy on here. I met Adam Foster at the Recovery Ribbon event. I actually have a little clip that I'll play here in just a minute, but first I got to give some shout outs. I want to give a huge shout out to a follower of mine, Patrice Wasp, who has been just an awesome supporter. She's been a huge supporter of me since I fired up Patreon. She's been gifting subscriptions to Patreon to people. So she gave a subscription to Michael McNeil a while ago, and Michael got set up and he's an actual supporter now. And then recently, she gave a subscription to Josh Gaffney and got his name added to the banner. So, Josh, congratulations on 1 year clean, brother, with October 11th, 2019. That's awesome stuff. If anybody out there wants to become a supporter of The Point of Change, go to patreon.com/thepointofchange and get signed up. There's a link in the description of this video. Thank you guys for all the likes and the shares. Let's see who's all hanging out with me tonight. Amber, how are you doing? Brendan, good to see you. Yes, I am early tonight, guys. Adam's got some stuff going on. There was actually a mix-up because it's Central Time and he didn't know that part, so he was ready already, and well, I'm up for anything. So here we are, guys. Make sure you share this out, build up a good priority here on Facebook. Ryan, how you doing? Deborah, good to see you. Courtney, Chris Rubino, thank you for being here. Tori Roos, thank you. And Heath, Dawn, good to see you. Windy, Cindy, Bo Bindi, thank you for joining me. Tim Parkinson's here. What's up, Tim? Good to see you. Brandon Clarkin, nice to see you, brother. Joni Faulkner, that's super nice to hear, isn't it? It's so great to be here right now, guys. Letitia, hello, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Chad Pfizer, if you guys haven't liked the stream yet, make sure you like, love, share the stream out. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to play a quick clip. This is a clip from the Recovery Ribbon event where I met Adam. This is a poem that he recited here, so I'm going to pull this up quick and get me off the screen, and I'll play this for you guys.
Have you ever seen the sunshine from a lonely prison cell, or ever felt so distant and had no one to tell? Staring out the window into the clear blue sky, hardened by this time, no tears for me to cry. Now when my time is over and I head back into town, how do I greet the people, the ones that let me down? Do I act like it didn't matter when it really meant so much? All I asked for was their friendship, to write and stay in touch. But the world is out there spinning while time is frozen mine. I can only wish them luck while I sit and do my time. Have you ever seen the sunshine from a lonely prison cell? I already know you haven't, because the sun don't shine in hell.
Boom. That is awesome stuff. And the fact that he memorized it and recited it there word for word, loved it. That was an awesome poem. So guys, without further ado, throw up every heart in the world and welcome my guest tonight, Adam Foster.
What's up, family?
What's going on, brother? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm blessed beyond measure.
Yeah, right on, right on. Still at work right now, right?
Yep, for another about another 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about working in recovery. They don't mind you spreading a good message too, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So man, how long have you been in recovery?
I came to recovery June 20th, 2018. I had a relapse in October 20th, 2019, coming back up on my year sobriety date.
Oh, right on, brother. That's awesome. I love that. Good to have you on here when you're coming up on that kind of a date, man. That's cool stuff. So what do you do for work there that you're at work yet?
Peer recovery support specialist, recovery coach. Basically, I am these guys' ambassador back into the recovery community and the real world. I help people. I just help people come for starting at the stage one of recovery from rock bottom, help them obtain ID, social security card, birth certificates, become gainfully employed, help them get acclimated with the recovery community, find a fellowship, what route works for them and helps them. And I'm just basically their biggest cheerleader / motivator / big brother.
Right on, bro. How long you been doing that now?
Just a month officially. You know, that's been my job title for just the past month, but I've actually been doing it for the last 18 months.
Oh, right on. Right on. Well, we have a picture here that I'm sure everybody is curious how your ass feels after the recovery ribbon event.
It healed up great, man. It itched for a few days, but that's probably because I didn't keep no salve on it, but it's good now.
I love Higgy in the background of this picture. Higgy's just cracking up. If you guys don't know, this is Adam here in the tattoo shop and at the recovery ribbon event, getting made in the USA tattooed on his ass by the creator of the recovery ribbon, Dee Ann Yancho. That was quite a sight to walk back into the tattoo shop and see that, man.
That was fun, man. That was it started out with a Facebook post saying that if I got 10,000 comments, I would do it, and it only took about 5 days to get 10,000 comments. So apparently, everybody really wanted me to make a poor decision that would be on my body for the rest of my life.
Yes, you are stamped and branded USA forever now, brother. So I got a few pictures here. This one I'll bring up right away. I want to hear what you got to say about this little guy right here. Can you see it on
that? Yeah. What do I? That's my driving force, man. That's my motivation. You know, I say all the time that I got clean for me, which I did. I had exhausted all available resources and found myself spiritually, mentally, and physically bankrupt. And so I made the decision to get clean for me. But once I realized that I could get clean and maintain sobriety and that I could actually stay clean, you know, I stay clean for him. He's the reason why I continue to do all the things that I learned that keep me sober.
Right on, brother. Right on. And you got a lot going on right there with family court and everything else.
Yeah, it's been a long process. If I'm being completely honest, probably the first, you know, that was never my intentions in the very beginning. Like I said, I got clean for me, but once I realized that, you know, I could stay clean and I could obtain the necessities that I need to be a father, and that I could provide spiritually, mentally, and physically and financially, that, you know, one of my mentors told me that I'm responsible for the effort. And so it wasn't until about 8 months into my recovery that, because I was scared of being dad, bro, still scared of it. You know, I don't want to do the wrong things. I don't want to, of course, everybody has their self-criticism, but now I am fully confident in my abilities of being a father. I started pursuing that. I filed the paperwork after about 8 months into recovery for custody.
Yeah, right.
And it's been played out. The COVID had my most recent hearing pushed back, and so it's been a battle, man. But it's coming up. My day's coming up Wednesday. I go to court to see what the judge says, man.
Right on, brother. Well, I'll keep you in my prayers. I hope he sees the change that all of us see in you, man. Because I mean, just so you guys out there know, this is the Adam Foster of the past right here. This is the before picture compared to the man we're talking to today. You know. So what was your point that you hit, man? What was the lowest? What brought you into recovery?
Well, probably my second to most recent incarceration stay. You know, my last prison bid that I did, I started contemplating. I started to think different, set aside from the drugs and alcohol in there. Started contemplating recovery. The wheels started turning about a different life and trying something different, but I never put any action behind it. You know, I took classes, I took Alladrew, I took Thinking for a Change, all the classes. I got certified in apprentice electrician while I was in prison the second to last time. And, you know, I avoided the prison politics and the troublemaking. And I had seemingly thought that I set up a foolproof plan for positive progression for once I was released. But I fell right back into the same old behaviors, surrounded by the same old people, and it wasn't long before I was strung out again. One of my biggest motivators was, you know, as in the rock bottom, which my rock bottom probably lasted about a whole year, but in that rock bottom, I exhausted and out of desperation, I started hurting family members and stealing off my brother and my sister and my dad and my grandparents. 2016, I tried to come home for Christmas. I hadn't been home in like 6 months. And I tried to come home for Christmas, and my whole family was there eating dinner. And I got turned away, man. There's 6 inches of snow on the ground. And I got turned away with nowhere to go. And I wound up in the next town over. I stole a Jeep Cherokee. I slept in it Christmas night and rode around Christmas Day, and Christmas Day night I got arrested in it. On my way back to prison, and so I violated. I went back to prison again, and same thing. You know, that same, once I was set aside from the drugs and alcohol, I really wanted to be free from addiction and stuff. And, you know, I did all the positive things while I was behind the fence. You know, I was calling home and talking to my family and was honestly done. Like, if you would have hooked me up to a lie detector test, I surely would have passed it whenever I said that I'm never getting high again, because inside I truly believed it. I got released again. I wasn't out maybe 12 days, relapsed. Went back for a shocker on parole. Was there 30 days, got back out for 16 more days, went back for another shocker, was in there 26 days, got back out again, and I found myself high on meth again, man. I was wound up at my little brother's house and was on a 4-day meth binge, and I was just so, that's where I hit, like I shared earlier, I hit spiritual and mental bankruptcy. Like, my physical was depleted, my mental was depleted, but in that 4 days and in that moment, that's whenever I hit spiritual bankruptness. I found myself on a creek bank with a needle and some dope in one hand and a loaded pistol in the other, man. And I sat there for 4 hours contemplating suicide, bawling my eyes out, crying out to God, cussing God, wanting, you know, I hit this place where I was no longer willing to go back to prison, and I was no longer willing to live the rest of my life in addiction. And I thought suicide was the only way out. And so I sat there, you know, I did my last one, and I said, you know, this is going to be it, and I'm going to do it. And I sat there for 4 hours in a major power struggle, and thank God that I never did it, man. Thank God I didn't follow through. And I finally called my sister, and that's whenever I feel like that's when I practiced my step one, admitting that we were powerless and my life had become unmanageable. I called my sister and I said, listen, I know you don't like me and we haven't talked, and I said, but I'm serious. She'd been trying to talk me into going to treatment and getting some kind of rehab for like 8 years. And I was like, I'm serious, sis. Please, if somebody don't come get me right now, I promise I'm going to be dead in an hour. And I'd never really threatened the suicide or anything like that. We had just lost an uncle about 13 months before to suicide because he couldn't beat his meth addiction.
Wow.
And in a drop of a hat, man, my sister came, picked me up. She took me to my brother's house. And while I laid there on the couch in recoup, her and my brother stayed up all night long and into the wee hours of the morning, into the early part of next day, trying to locate me a bed in a rehab, and I wound up at a Life House in Huntington.
Nice. Thank God for family right there, right, brother? Even, pulling through all that, I'm sure you put her through hell as well. You said, you had been stealing from family and everything else, and for her to put all that to the side and know that something bigger was going on, that's just awesome. So how did that feel? How was that ride? Was that an awkward ride there?
No, because up until that point, I've talked about it with my brother and sister. We're very transparent with each other, and they could tell that time something was different. That time, that all the other times that I've either talked about getting help or doing the right thing, that they could just tell it was some form of manipulation. But in that time, they could tell that something was different, that I had truly hit bottom and I was desperate.
Amen. That's awesome. So now I imagine you work a 12-step recovery?
12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right on. That's awesome. Can't even write 12-step for some reason. There, 12-step. So now, was what you just described, was that the beginning of your recovery, or was this after this last relapse you mentioned?
What, the 12 steps and the coming to treatment?
Yeah, the going to the treatment and getting all involved. That was originally coming into recovery?
Yeah, I started there. I started in an 8-month faith-based program. First 60 days, there's no outside contact. You're only going to meetings and church. You're working the 12 steps there in the facility. They had it set up to where the steps were actually a part of your treatment curriculum. They helped me get through the 5th step in my first 60 days, and then you transition to sober living for an additional 6 months, where you still have to maintain meeting attendance, a sponsor-sponsee relationship, along with other recovery dynamics and things like that, peer-to-peer accountability. I am my brother's keeper. They are my keeper, stuff like that.
Beautiful. That's awesome stuff, man. It's so important to get that break from the regular world. When you first come into recovery, I'm just a firm believer in that. Whatever it is, whether it's jail, prison, or rehab, or some kind of recovery halfway housing or something like that. Sober living, something like that is just so important. It really is.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. Once I got there in my first 2 weeks there, I was like, oh no, this is not for me. I was like, this is not for me. I was like, this is a cult. They're trying to convert me. I said they're trying to do all kind of crazy things, and
they never made you drink the punch though. That's good.
Well, not. And I don't try to sound this to sound braggy or boastful, but early on in my first 3 weeks, man, I had a spiritual experience, kind of spiritual awakening a little bit, before I really started becoming open-minded and trying to work the program, or trying to work a program and stuff. My first 10 days there, I was same old me, just separated from the drugs and alcohol. And after about 10 days, man, one of my mentors pulled me into his office, and he to have a little powwow come to God meeting with me. And he's like, listen, man, he's like, I don't know what it is about you. And I don't try to make this sound like, I don't try to sound braggy or boastful or ego driven in this, because this is something that I didn't see in myself, and I didn't want to be true, because with accepting and acknowledging something like this comes great responsibility. And I was the guy that wanted to take shortcuts. I didn't want any responsibility. But he broke it down like this: is in the 10 days that I had been there, people that had been there for the full length of 50 and 60 days, it's like everybody had just came through the back door, everybody that had made growth and steps forward and stuff pulled, because I guess I have an ability of influence, and I was using that not unconsciously, but in a negative way. And he had a powwow, and he was sincere, and he was like, "Listen, man, I've been working in treatment for 10 years, bro. And I'm here, and I'm a mentor, and I'm trying to lead these guys and trying to help, and I'm trying to fight this battle. And then I got you coming in here, and all the guys are taking steps backwards. They're back mentally where at day one." And he's like, "You're a leader. You have a God-given ability to lead, but you won't use it." And I'm like, "No, that ain't me." He's like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "You have an ability God-given that I pray for and have been working on for 10 years to try to acquire. And you've got it and won't do nothing with it." And he made me write an assignment, 1,500 words on "If they will follow, where will you lead?" A lot of my posts, you guys see that in some of my posts. I say that all the time, because that's something that I push for. It applies with everything. My brothers in recovery, the newcomers, my children, the next generations in my family. Like, it's true. History repeats itself. If I want this cycle to break in my family of the rite of passage into manhood in my family being a little bit of jail time or a prison stay, if I want that to change, I have to be the person that step out of that mold and lead in a different direction.
Amen. Amen, man. That's awesome. I had much in the same situation when I was in jail when it happened, but a fellow inmate told me that I had that gift, and told me, I was in the wrong business. I was working on a paint line at the time, and he was like, you need to start doing other things. You need to use the God-given gifts that you have, the ability to relate to people and spread a good message. And much like what you were just saying, I've always had this ability. I just always used it in the wrong stuff. I was always the guy that would, tell you, just try smoking this or try snorting this. It's not that bad, And now I'm the guy that leads you the other way. And I'm just so happy to be in recovery these days. So when you're not helping people, you seem to like to help animals a lot. I've seen somebody in the comments mentioned your squirrels, and I have this picture of you with 2 baby squirrels on your arm here. So what's the story with the squirrels?
I'm a sucker for baby animals, man. For some odd reason, I guess God he just sends them into my path all the time. Like, I stopped the other day to rescue a baby turtle out of the road, and I had one of the residents with me, and we were going on a pumpkin run because we're having a pumpkin carving contest here, and I like locked it up and threw it in reverse, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He never even seen it. And I opened my door and I grabbed this turtle, and we took it down and turned it loose in a field. And I don't know, man. It's just, it's hard to, my buddies, they know I'm good with animals. I'm country as they come, and they started out with, last year, a buddy of mine got one. He cuts trees, and he cut one down that had a nest in it, and I raised it to adulthood and then turned it loose behind my house. And so now everybody calls me when they've got the babies that need fostered. I've had people call me with baby possums, baby raccoons, just everything, man.
Here's another one you might remember from the
Hey, that was awesome, bro. That was a spiritual experience for me. Because whenever the boy that came with me, Michael, that came with me on that trip, whenever we first got into recovery, we're sitting at McDonald's and we're contemplating where our lives was and what had led us up to this point, and basically kind of making like an oath or a vow to each other to continue this path of recovery and see where life could take us with this route. And a hawk landed on the hood of his truck and stared there at us for like 30 minutes. And I was like, bro, that's like, that doesn't happen. And then when we're on the trip, we stopped for a bathroom break and find that little feller stuck in a fence. And I rescued him. We rescued him, brought him from Shelbyville, Indiana to up there where we met you guys, and turned him back loose. He was fine the next day.
That's awesome, man. That really is. That's crazy cool. And it's funny because I have this rock right here. I'll have to grab this quick. When I was the night before I was going to speak at the Recovery Ribbon event, I was in my hotel room, or no, the morning of the Recovery Ribbon event, I was walking outside of the hotel and doing some praying and talking to God about, what I was going to say and where the point of change is going to go and what I want to do with the rest of my life. Just praying, getting into it. And I looked down and I found this rock here. And if you see my banner, the point of change is that black with that red stripe. And I looked down and here's the rock that was sitting right in the parking lot right there, dude. And I was like, thank you, God, letting me know I'm walking the right path. So, and that's just awesome how he's working in everybody's lives at the same time, blessing you.
I have little experiences like that all the time, bro, where it's like, and you have a moment like that and you're like, thank you, I needed that. I know that I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be now.
I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I believe in God. So
yeah, spiritual awareness.
Exactly. That spiritual awakening is a real thing, man. It's really powerful. Let's see. Looking here, Jolynn says, "What hotel did you stay at?" I think it was the American or something like that up in Merrill. It was just a small hotel that I stayed in there. I was right in the same hotel as Higgy, though, because we cuddled all night the night of the Recovery Ribbon event. If you ask him, he'll deny it, but I tell you, me and Higgy were cuddling. Let's see. I'm looking to see if anybody had any questions or anything for you, man. Let's see. Hey, Bradley, how you doing tonight? Good to see you here. Belinda King. I would almost rather be around animals than humans. Now that's one I can relate to. That's actually, when I was in early recovery, I started to have that feeling like I wanted to help people, or I wanted to help. I shouldn't say I wanted to help people. It was in my first year of recovery. I hadn't had any of my big awakenings yet. I really wasn't attending church. I didn't do any of that stuff yet. And I started having that feeling like I wanted to help. But I didn't want to help people, so I actually volunteered at the animal shelter in Jefferson County there and just walked dogs and cleaned cages and stuff. That was my way of giving back originally until having the spiritual awakening and realizing that I needed to help people and spread a good message and use my story for the good. So how long have you been doing the SoberDad page?
SoberDad was kind of probably about, it's probably only been, the SoberDad page has probably only been around for a little, maybe 13, 14 months. It started just regular off of my personal profile, Facebook. Once I started having the spiritual awakening and seeing, I was just surrounded by hope all the time, watching people come back and share their stories and where their lives was at now. And see, I come from a small town in central West Virginia, and you'd never really seen any kind of recovery, and not very many people made it out. And if they did, they didn't share about it because of the stigma. They'd move to another town and just start from scratch, and they didn't want to tell about their past or anything and fear that it might hinder the future they've built. So once I realized, and seeing people come back, like once I found hope for myself, I still remembered all the people that was in the trenches with me and all my loved ones, my family and my closest friends who are still struggling in this hopeless state of mind. And so I started sharing my own personal recovery in live feeds and little videos. I started posting inspirational videos, sharing about recovery topics. And like for my area, these videos started going like crazy, like 5, 10, 15,000 views. And I'm like, man, like this is reaching people, and all kinds of people started hitting me up and talking about recovery and contemplating recovery, and then started helping people find resources to get help. And I was like, well, somebody told me that I needed to create a page because I could reach more people, because my page only has a certain set amount of followers that it could have. My personal page, 5,000 friends. So I had a team, I kind of had a team that we were all about sharing the hope, and we started a page called Sober Squad. and it was just basically recovery and revival. And you know, it played out. It lasted for about 6 months, and it just kind of fizzled out, man. Everybody else kind of dropped off and just started, you know, doing their own thing, just kind of living quiet and low key. And you know, a lot of that is probably fear of persecution and criticism from the recovery community, because people say that we're attention seeking and that we suffer from like worshiping self-image and vanity. But and then plus just real everyday, you know, like once you start getting a job and you're taking care of meetings and you're growing up, like a lot of people don't have time for the hobbies and the passions no more. So it kind of just fizzled out to where I was the only one doing it. So I kind of just went off and branched off with myself and started the SoberDad page, because you know, I hold on to the messages that come in, and like over the course of 2.5 years, man, I've had people message me just out of the blue, so many. And this is people that I beefed with on the streets. This is people that I didn't get along with in addiction, people that we hated each other. We were like enemies and stuff. And, you know, I've had them reach out and say, listen, man, I know that we haven't talked in forever. He said, but listen, since you got in recovery and you started doing the videos, I started watching you. And for a long time, I was, this is just one in particular. He's like, I was leery for about 6 months, man. I thought you was faking and manipulating, but I started seeing that it was real and it was true. And it started making me want to get help. And I just wanted to let you know that I just got 6 months clean. And I'm like, wow, man, if I can impact my enemies, people that I didn't get along with, what's to say I can't impact my family, my loved ones and stuff like that. And just all the other, you know, the loved ones that reach out with wanting support from their families and just advice. You know, it's hard. Like I said earlier, with ability comes responsibility, man. And I stayed faithful with it, doing the best that I can, and it just grown and grown, man.
Right on, man. You know, I always say responsibility is a two-part word. It's your response to your ability. If you have the ability to do something, what is your response?
That's so good. That is so good.
Glad I hit you with it, brother. Glad I hit
Yeah.
let's see. We got some questions. Jolene wants to know, how old are your kids?
I have a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Wow.
My right was terminated to my two oldest children. My baby mom, their mother passed away to a brain aneurysm, and I was stuck in addiction and a cycle of incarceration, and my rights was terminated and they were adopted out. I haven't got to see them in 7 years. And my son, I get some weekend visits with, usually every other weekend, FaceTime visits. And like I shared earlier, I've been fighting, well, not fighting, but I've been going through the process of trying to get full custody of him for the past 2 years. And this Wednesday, I have my day in court, man, where I can stand in front of the judge, look him in the eye, hold my head up high, and know that I've done everything. My side of the street is clean, whether he grants me full responsibility, my son, or not. I know that I don't have to drink and drug over it because I did my part.
Right on, man. That's exactly where it's at, is keeping our side of the street clean. Let's see. Next question. Jess Leroy. What advice can you give to other dads who are newly trying to live a sober life with their children?
You know, I don't know that I can give great advice because I don't have my son full time yet. I'm just still basically the part-time weekend dad, but I find myself reflecting on the same principles and the things that I've learned in recovery and my own character, and just trying to instill that in them. Like this weekend, man, you know, I took my son hunting in ground blind, and I'm trying to get him to be quiet so that a deer will come in. I didn't really care. I didn't really care if we got anything or harvested a deer, but I definitely wanted him to see one. And I kept trying to get him to be quiet, but every now and then he'd talk or sneeze, and I just had to remember patience, and that I got what I prayed for, that our little expedition right then might not be going exactly how I wanted it, but it wasn't about me in the first place. It's about him. He's having a blast in the deer blind, running around, waiting for deer. And you know, I reflected and remembered back to my childhood whenever I was the very same way. And you know, I don't mean to take no shots at my dad because I love my dad, but he wasn't the most understanding or patient person. And you know, I just wanted to do something different, and just basically, man, just applying the same principles, man, that I try to live my life about every day, and just doing what I think God would do.
That's all you can do right there. Just follow the example of the greatest father we have, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yes. All right, brother. Well, I'm going to let you go. I don't see any more questions. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody. If anybody had another question. Cans. Jolyn says Diamond is so cool and he's a good guy. Yes, he is. I love Diamond. All right. No, I think that's about it for questions, brother. All right, man. I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight. This was awesome to have you on here and get to know you a little better. And yeah, thanks for sparing some time with us.
Yeah, no problem, man. I was glad to be here.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. Well, you have a beautiful night and have a safe ride home from work.
All right, Bubby.
All right. Love you, man.
Love you, bro.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Pointer Change meets Sober Dad. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope you got a good testimony out of that. What a great guy. What an awesome down-to-earth dude. I love the Southern accent. I really do. I'm in love. That's all I'm going to say about that. So next week, guys, my guest next week is Hunter Michael Shepard. I was going to put some pictures up here so I could show you who my guest next week is. I met this guy through a meme originally. I seen a meme going around. It said, me drops my phone, and then please don't be cracked, don't be cracked, don't be cracked. And then it said my phone, and it had a picture of this dude, Hunter Michael Shepard, his before picture. And I thought it was really mean that somebody would make a meme out of somebody in that circumstance. And then I found out that he himself made that meme. So that made it a little more okay. But since then, I've talked with him quite a bit, and he's a really good guy. So he's going to come on here next weekend at 9 p.m. Central and share his story with us. Tonight was a little bit early, so thank you guys for showing up and being here. That was really awesome of you all to take time out and come hang out with me and Adam. If anybody missed this video, of course, you'll have to catch the hashtag replay. Thank you. And if anybody wants to become a supporter of The Pointer Change, go over to patreon.com/thepointerchange and sign up to be a supporter. There's a link in the description of this video. There's also a link to my merchandise. If you're looking for a shirt or a sweater or a coffee cup or a dog bandana or all kinds of other stuff, go check out my merchandise. I love you guys so much. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow morning. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.